Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's, what am I calling it now? Art and Illustration Recap. My name is Pierre Draculea, and I am here to talk about the various art and illustration I have done in the last week. So, first up, I guess, would be I mentioned in the last recap video that I have a painting in this year's Cowichan Valley Fine Arts Show. And it's the one I showed a scroll of last time. I did take a selfie of myself at the opening in front of it. Of course, probably not the best shot, and I think I figured out how to make it scroll. It's probably going to look weird, but anyways, here we go. The endless scroll. You can get a little sense. The painting is called Running on Empty. It is available for sale, so if you're in the Vancouver Island region, go on there and stick a red dot on it after giving your money, of course. But, like, this isn't really a sales show, but there you go. I did take a selfie, and my hair was a mess at the opening, as kind of is my standard, I guess. That is kind of, well, it's the big art news of the week. The big business news is I am officially in business. Got my license, got my registration, got an email from the province telling me my CRA business number. That CRA is Canada Revenue Agency. They're like our version of the IRS. I was like, well, I knew eventually you got to deal with the CRA, but I had this like fantasy that they wouldn't know I was up to for a while. I mean, it's dumb. Obviously, it's like, here's my money, here's my taxes, etc. Of course, they know what I'm up to. But I was a little bit surprised that I had my business number from them emailed to me, and it got emailed to me via the province. So go figure. I don't understand how any of this stuff works. But anyways, so next stop, I have to get ISBN numbers. I thought I was going to order those from the United States with Bowker, I believe is the thing. But if you're in Canada, you can actually get an ISBN for free. But you pay in, nothing's free. You pay in delays. So the first step is this morning, I have sent off my application as a publisher with my business information, yada, yada, yada. They may take up to 30 business days to let me know if I'm approved or not. Again, it's free, right? And then after that, I apply for the actual ISBN, and it's 20 business days. So I should have an ISBN by sometime in July for the first Noah's Archipelago book. Actually, what I'm going to do when they approve my account is I'm going to request like 4 different ISBN numbers. Not that I think I'll have 4 books ready this summer, but because there's the delay, you might, and they don't expire, So anyways, point is there's progress there. But let's get into the actual art, shall we? So finishes, well, why don't I just find my little background here. I had one image I had to finish for the Noah's Archipelago book that I was just talking about getting an ISBN for. And that was going to be a self-portrait for the author, about the author page. So this is, it's pen and ink. Now that we've kind of gotten, here's the overview of it. Now let's come back down. I will fix the shadow under the nose. I think that ended up being a little too heavy considering that I did the rest of the face quite devoid of shadows. But this is actually taken from a still from one of my vlogs in February where it was like 7 in the morning and I was like purposefully kind of making a face or whatever. So I grabbed a screen cap of it because I thought it was funny. And there we have it. Glasses on top of my head, hair up in one of these. Now, of course, I can't. One of these annoying things, which is the standard hairdo. It's like I put it down on video, try and fluff it up like I have more hair than I actually have. But I thought that was a pretty accurate cartoonist looks like a lunatic kind of photo. And then afterwards going like, I have finished all the drawings for the first Noah book. Yay! And then I remembered, you know what? I don't have a meet the cast section. I don't know if I'm going to have a meet the cast section. Probably not. Maybe I should. I don't know. There is one on the website for Noah's Archipelago, but anyways, at the very least, I think I'm going to do a portrait of the Thorsons together, like Noah, his wife Ruth, and the kids. But then, you know, we have one of his ex-wives, the mother of his eldest son, occasionally appears in the comic, and his friends. Anyways, so maybe, especially now that I know I'm not going to get my ISBN for it until July because I decided to go free instead of pay. I think, I'm not sure what the Bowker price is. I think it's like one is like 125 US, but you can get 3 for $3.95, or you could get 10 for like $2.75. It's weird. Like, it's very weird. It's cheaper to buy 10 than it is to buy 3. And I mean overall amount, not just per. Anyways, I decided to go for free, so now I gotta wait. So, but that does mean I have time to decide, you know, maybe I am gonna do a little meet the cast thing and a portrait of each character, and then write a little blurb. Or, I mean, I have a little blurb for each character on the Noah's Archipelago website, but I could modify that, update it, whatever. But anyways, that's my first finish of the week, was that self-portrait for the Noah's Archipelago book. Now, and this is going to be, everything else is vertical, which is, yeah, may have to have this really annoyingly in my face. Actually, what we will probably do for the really annoyingly in my face is we've got sketchbooks, and that kind of makes it a bit taller, I guess. We'll give the overview and then I'll bring it down and kind of do a manual scroll, right? So part of the Cowichan Valley Fine Arts Show is that we do have demonstrations and all that sort of stuff. This is annoying me in my face, so we'll do it this way. We do have demonstrations and all that, and I volunteered to give a demonstration of pen and ink, which will be this coming Monday. So if you happen to be on Vancouver Island and you're available on Monday, May 11th, between 1:30 p.m. and 4 p.m., come on to Duncan, to the Cowichan Valley Arts Council's gallery, which is in the same building as the Duncan branch of the library. And I will be somewhere in there on a little table giving a pen and ink demonstration. And anyways, I thought, well, it'll be nice, aside from I'll do a cartoon. That's probably the day I'm going to do like the Thorson family portrait, or we'll see. If I decide over the weekend to do meet the cast, then I'll figure out something else, because then I would have, you know, like 15 different little portraits to do. But I thought, well, it would also be nice to have some like flyers for Ricky B. Rad. I've got some business cards. I'm going to show this stuff in a bit with Hall. But I thought I'm also going to have one of those Itoyo Profolio books, and just some samples of my work so people can flip through and see a variety, right? And I thought, well, then I should have a front, like a title page kind of thing. So this is the title page for that sample book portfolio. So we start up top, and let me just do an autofocus. There we go. Now it's all sharp and pokey. We've got Noah telling people to ignore the rats and look at him instead. Ricky says everybody loves rats because, well, I mean, Ricky's a rat. Of course, he thinks everybody loves his kind. We got a block of cheese, a sampling of my cartoons. I come down here, we have Noah's daughter, Ursula. Cartoons? I love cartoons. We got my name, of course. And then we've got Myles stomping out going, yeah, well, I love money, and that fucking cartoonist didn't pay me my appearance fee. Censored, of course, because, you know, I was advised, you know, oh, we might have Duncan Christian School coming in. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Note to self, don't the sample cartoon is not going to be Ricky trying to get into his girlfriend's pants, or Ricky barfing after a night of drinking, or, you know, Myles speedboating with a couple of bimbos whose boobs are practically falling out of their bikinis. You know, it's like we'll have something kind of family friendly in that case. But yeah, that's another little drawing I did as a sample. So now we're moving on. Those are what I would call the finishes. Although technically speaking, this one, I guess if I'm going to do character portraits, then this is technically then a part of a work in progress instead. Anyways, whatever. So let's move on to whips. Now, works in progress. Now, of course, this happens every time I go to the Cowichan Valley Fine Arts show or like Souk Fine Arts show, whatever. I always get ideas about, oh, what I could do to make my paintings better, blah, 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 blah. I took notes on my phone. Like I grabbed a seat in a corner. I was just like, you know, probably looked at like I was being obnoxious and texting, but I was like, write down the ideas I had, etc. Which kind of aren't that different from what I've been painting lately, but they are a little bit different from running on empty. Related, but not the same, right? Anyways, I came home afterwards, and also running on empty is next to this completely abstract thing that has a lot of like super bright hot pink and hot, you know, almost like fluorescent lime green and almost like fluorescent super orange, which I just love it, man. I love those color combos. Very punk rock type of thing, right? I know I say punk rock, and yeah, I'm wearing a bow in my hair. Well, Betsy Johnson does the bow thing, right? Anyways, I came home and I had some ideas. So I did start a new painting. I know. I have like 4 or 5 others that I should really finish first. But I started a new one. It's just the background so far. But I did take a video. So why don't we throw that on? And this is just going to scroll. But as you can see, the colors, like those pinks aren't as like eye melting as I want, but they're a good base. You got a darker magenta. We got this sort of more Pepto-Bismol-y kind of pink. We got yellow. We got lime green. So that's kind of the general gist of things as a very first base layer. And then I want to incorporate some text into it, but like tone on tone. I don't know. Oops, that was a short painting. Very short video. There's got to be a way in OBS where I can have like a progress bar so I can know when I need to click off of it. But anyways, so I did start a new painting, but who knows how long that one's going to take to finish. Now, let us move on to works that I did on stream. Now, you're going to notice, regular viewers may notice, like, wait a minute, isn't there a section in finishes where this broad talks about her comic Noah's Archipelago? We're going to talk about that when we get to the new, sort of a news section that I have further down, but there aren't any specific Noah's Archipelago comics this week, and there's a reason why. Anyways, first stream of the week is Myles. Now, we saw this one last week. As I bring this up for maximum height. I gotta remember with a document camera to hit the autofocus button because it doesn't figure it out on its own. It's not really autofocus if I have to hit the button all the time, but it says autofocus even though it requires pressing to actually focus. Anyways, whatever. So this is the entire spread because that was what I did in last week's stream, and it's a 2-hour stream, right? But it does take a certain amount of time. Oh, well, now that's completely in front of my face. Anyways. So usually I get a whole spread done in a 2-hour stream, but that one, each side took an entire stream. And what we had in this week's stream was Myles sees the shark. So hit the focus button again, and there we go. So we have tons of little fishies and seaweed and corals and starfish and another octopus, and where there's like a crab in here somewhere. I think there's 2 crabs. But yeah, anemones, broken propeller off of this little boat. It's not a very big shipwreck, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So it's, technically speaking, he still dived on a shipwreck. It's just that it was like a little motorboat. So that was what I got done in the Monday stream. Now the Tuesday stream, I would normally be working on NOAA stuff for currently the calendar project. I was not able to do my stream on Tuesday. I actually got a call from a family member like 20 minutes before, 45 minutes before I was to go on stream. And I kind of knew, it's like, okay, we're talking. So I bumped, sort of as we're talking, I'm like in the background on YouTube Studio and bumped that stream to next week. So no calendar stuff this week. Moving on to Wednesday then, and Zamo. And again, we'll bring it all the way up so you can see the overall. I think I mentioned on last week's show that, well, of course, I've wrapped up working on a Zamo, what was going to be a reboot of Zamo the Destroyer, which was my first. Oops, why am I still in Myles? Oops, sorry, Myles. Actually, not so much sorry, Myles. Sorry, Zamo. There we go. Now that's the appropriate background. We got Zamo in the corner down there, and then, yeah. Anyways, so the way that 8-page reboot from 2013 that I then didn't actually finish until I've been working on it on stream recently, it ends with Zamo in Zamo's secret basement lab saying, we'll see how often the lazy monkey draws the comics. So, of course, we have to have 2026 update. Well, as it turns out, the lazy monkey was very lazy and never drew the comic reboot. But that's okay, because starting in 2014, Zamo went ahead and started a podcast for friends and family back home in the jungle. So we've got the Zamo News Network, little podcasting radio mic, a board very similar or loosely based on what I remember of the one we used to have at CITR Radio when I was a DJ there for, well, in total on-air time, I guess 2002 to 2006, so 4 years, and then 2009 to 2015, so another 6 years, so 10 years in total, but I was involved with the station over like 15, 16 years. Just for a while I wasn't on air, but I was helping with, excuse me, but I wasn't on air, but I was helping with Discorder magazine and stuff like that. Anyways, when I did that podcast, there's like 238 episodes. And I have scripts for all but I think 3 of them. And they were like the very early first, not the first one, but you know, like episode 2, episode 5. There's a few missing in that first 10 where I guess I didn't save the script. But anyways, I have loads of Zamo content from that. And then my intention is to do not a book, many books, because some of those episodes are like 10, 12 pages. So we will do a series of books and treat each script as like a short story. Each short story is going to have 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4, depending on the size, illustrations from it. That would be just single, you know, similar with what I've talked about doing with Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness, or I've got a Ricky B. Rat book that I'm going to be working on similar to that. So now this is just a tip-off for the end of the book that's going to have all the original comics in it, that the next Zamo book is coming. This isn't the end of it. but it's going to be stories from the podcast era and telling them to stay tuned for that. So then what I did, because I'm definitely going to do like a Meet the Cast section in Zamo to explain the different characters. So I need portraits. So we are starting this. So for the next few weeks, we will be doing bonus cartoons for Zamo. And probably, I would think the next month, 6 weeks or so is all going to be just, like, here's Zamo. We've got that was actually a photo of a camellia from my garden, but I turned it, they look like roses, so I just turned it into a rose. And I hadn't drawn it initially, so I was like live on stream going, hang on a second, like brought it up on my laptop and was like squinting to draw it. I think that's straight with the pen. Yeah, there's no underdrawing on that. And then a portrait of Zamo's primary pet human, Georgie. And Georgie is a painter who does a lot of abstract-y, kind of smushy sort of work. So we got that. I think Georgie... No. This was bugging me in the stream where I was like, where would the back leg would be hidden by the palette, but I just realized this leg of the table should be there. Anyways, I might fix that later. I might just leave it as a 3-legged table. I don't know. But we will go through and do a bunch of cast portraits in the next few weeks. These are actually pretty quick, so I don't know. I could probably get like 4 of them done per stream. Maybe even like 5 or 6. And then I know there's going to be other bonus material that I want to do from that, because back in 2007, I think I've shown it before, but I can maybe reach and pull it up. I had taken a book design class, and one of the final project, the big project, was to do a mock-up. So that's actually the book, right? We will bring it up and we will autofocus again. So I think I might actually kind of keep this as the cover, but do a more detailed version. Zamo normally Zamo is pretty much a very simplified, open sort of thing. But for the cover, I may do it a little bit more like you see down here. That was actually like, that Doodle Zamo is done in multiple colors of ballpoint pen. It was actually done in like a photography class I took 20 years ago. I was just like bored and doodled. The guy was talking about dark rooms or exposing or whatever. But as he's listing, I'm taking notes and I'm working on this Doodle of Zamo. But you can see there is obviously shading and whatnot. So I might, and the cover would be full color. So whether I would do a watercolor or a portrait, or whether I do multiple colors of ink, because I do have multiple colors of ink, not on the desk here, but this dollar Rowney sort of stuff. The FW, this is acrylic ink. I have like 2 little not little, but 2 medium-sized bins, about 1.5 feet by 1 foot, that are just like packed full of different colors of that. So I can do, even using a dip pen, I can do full color for the cover. So, but I like this kind of pose with Zamo being obnoxious, and that's from a comic where Georgie is going somewhere on the bus, and she's got a big messenger bag slung over, and Zamo's hiding in the bag. Because in theory, it's probably different now because everybody has their emotional support boa constrictor or whatever. But in the days that I was doing this, that was not a thing, right? Like if you had an animal on transit, it was because you were blind and you also had a white cane and sunglasses, right? Like that was, or maybe you'd get the odd person who was in a wheelchair and like the dog was trained to open doorknobs or something. But it wasn't common at all at that point. So the rule would have been no animals, so Zamo had to hide in the bag. But then Zamo would like poke her head out and like make faces at kids and all this. And anyways, I kind of always liked that cartoon, so that was the cover. So I'm probably just going to do that again, but redraw in more detail. I don't know if I'll call it Genius, the Life and Times of Zamo the Destroyer. It's such an obnoxious title that it's kind of hilarious. It is going to have, sorry, Zamo, but it is going to have to say, let me pull that up. So I don't know how clear that is, but it says by Zamo, ghost written by Piero Draculea. It is going to have my name as the author. Zamo's going to be upset, but that's fine. But anyways, the reason why I'm pulling this out is just to give an example. I mean, that was the old Zamo logo, but there are sections like Dear Reader, and it's like a letter from Zamo. So there would be front material, few monkeys and a frog. That's an overview of the cast that I did for that, but I would actually do like separate. Oh no, this one actually does have separate little blurbs about the different characters and whatnot. Just kind of trying to make sure that's actually in focus. I've seen the occasional thing where it wasn't. And then like Zamo's Anthropological Museum with displays of human lint balls from pockets and kind of making fun. I was an anthropology major for a couple years in the 90s, and so there's a lot of Zamo stuff referencing anthropology that makes fun of that whole field. So anyways, and then we had some random things, green power, which Zamo takes in a very different manner than anyone pushing solar. Zamo is thinking in terms of like the reptile revolution. And then it was getting into that. So anyways, I have to decide what bonus comment, old 20-year-old photo of myself. These websites are dead now. But we'll have some bonus content that I have to then draw, and that'll be stuff that I draw over the next few weeks, couple months. So yeah, let's move that back up there, and clickety click, back to focus. So this is kind of more of a doodle, but I was chatting with some folks who are watching the stream, and they were asking about how fat Zamo is. And I was like, well, when I was telling them also about the pet iguana I had for many years. I was like, well, I mean, she was fat, but she was longer, and this isn't even the full length. She was a juvenile still at this point, because her like what they call snout vent length, vent being their buttholes, right? But right between the rear legs, her snout vent length she lived to be about 10, and in the last year of her life or so, I forgot to draw the other hand here, but in the last year of her life or so, I think offhand, if my memory is correct, her snout vent length was 20 inches. So it might have even been 21 at the very end. And then, not quite 4 feet of tail, about 40 inches. So yeah, actually, I don't know. I think she was like 5.5 feet long or something, getting close to 6 feet long from the tip of her nose to the tip of her tail. Males would get bigger than that. Anyways, this is my like rough from memory drawings. Like, okay, well, like she is fat, but not as fat as the cartoon is. So I was explaining about iguanas and the fat stores on their hind legs, especially for females. They have really fat thighs. That's where they store their blubber. Anyways, that was sort of a rough sketch during the stream. So now let's go to Noah. Thursday. Well, we missed the Tuesday Noah stream, but we got to the Thursday one wherein we work on Noah coloring books. I'm just going to show the two that I did quickly, and then I'm going to zoom down for details. And this project is the A to Z of Noah's jobs. So H for human statue with pigeons eyeing him. And P for pig racer. I don't know. It just showed up somewhere on like a list of strange jobs. I don't think it's as described. I think it's people where they organize races, just between pigs. But it was funnier, I thought, if I showed Noah racing the pigs. So here we kind of really abstracted the sky. We've got the pigeons. He's dressed as the Statue of Liberty. He's got his little tip jar down here. Somebody's given him a whole dollar. Or $5. If this was in Canada, then that's like a $5 bill. So He's doing well. Anyways, and he's surrounded by pigeons, eyeballing him. It kind of goes with one from the beginning of the book where he's working as an airport bird scarer, and also the birds want to attack him. So we're starting to develop regular themes. Also, last week we had Noah as a mime. So this is part of a series of gigs he had as a busker. And then the pig racer. He's on a farm. Maybe this is training day. Like, there's no crowds around here, so maybe he's just practicing with the pigs. And one of them's beating him. So did that. And these are done not with a dip pen, but with like whacked my I got a light here, and I always tend to whack it with something, but the pigment liners in various sizes. So and then during last week's stream, I know, I said I was gonna be back with Ricky B, the Rock and Roll Rat, and then I ate something that didn't agree with me. Yeah, so I didn't have a stream last Friday night. I'm very careful about what I ate today, sort of, kind of, not really, but I think I'm gonna be fine. I don't want to have missed 3 Ricky shows in a row. And I know I missed April, not August yet. It was hot, but it wasn't that August hot. I missed April 24th because I had the parish potluck I had to go to because I was on the organizing committee. So no stream, no Ricky stream that week. And then I missed Ricky last week because I ate something and was in no condition to be sitting on camera. And then I missed the Noah Tuesday calendar stream this week because of a phone call with the family. So it's like, okay, I mean, like, all of them are kind of understandable reasons, but we got to get away from missing streams now. Got to get back on track. Anyways, those are the whips. Now, Doodle Zone. And I guess I got to take this off because the doodles are in the books that I've put the camera on top of. So, let's get to back up. And this will be the document camera only version. There we go. So, we remember this awkwardly shaped landscape sketchbook. I love it, but it is a pain in the butt for cameras because it ends up being super wide. Anyways, these are ones I've already shown on previous streams, but this week I had, it was May the 4th, and of course we know that's Star Wars Day, so we have a drawing of, let me actually bring this down a little bit closer, and let's do the focus thing. And it's a little tilted anyways. There we go. I think we're good. And focus. All right. Focus, Pyrrha, focus. Anyways, so we have Noah dressed as Han Solo. He's whipping up a batch of something. Could be pancakes, could be cookies. I don't know. And then there's Ursula as a Sith, because of course Ursula is a Sith. What else would she be? And he's telling her, no lightsabers in the house till you finish your homework. And she's not happy about that. Then, missed a few days, but yesterday, and this kind of pertains to why we don't have specific Noah's Archipelago comics this week, because after much thought, let's flip to the Noah Stream dual camera. After much thought, I kind of came to the conclusion that, you know what? The way I've been doing the Noah stuff is just not working. Doing it, what I was supposed to be doing for the last several years, 4 times a week, and with doing it digitally in Procreate, full color and all that, was just getting to be too much for time, and the ergonomics were messing up my neck and my back. Yeah, I mean, I know obviously you don't have to be like hunched over your iPad like what's like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. when you're drawing on an iPad, but I just haven't figured out another way to do it. I know that sounds stupid. That's a me problem, but it's one that I can't seem to resolve. So then I was doing it in the sketchbook with markers, but then I was kind of making them all single panels. But you know, it's actually really hard to come up with single panel gags and to do it multiple times a week. My brain wants to work in like long, convoluted, weird, epic kind of, well, I don't know. Epic's probably self-aggrandizing, but you know, long and convoluted, those kind of stories. And that's more of a graphic novel kind of thing. So, and I think I've said that before, that I was kind of thinking, well, at some point I'm going to make an Archipelago graphic novel. But I kind of came to the realization, the time I spend trying to think up a plot line that will work in a single panel, and then drawing the single panel and the markers and all this, that's energy and frustration that's going into that rather than let's move forward with the graphic novels. So, hence this cartoon from yesterday morning. We've got Noah. He's saying, hey, cartoonist, what's this I hear about longer stories? Am I getting a raise for having to learn more lines? And he's waving a thing that says graphic novel script for Noah Thorson. And there I am with my messy hair. Notice I drew myself with fluffier messy hair, not flat messy hair. But anyways, you know, it's fiction. That's why it's fluffy. So I say, of course, 25% raise. And that satisfies Noah. He says, oh, okay, finally. And then I'm thinking, no wonder Ursula's bad at math. 125% of Zippo is still nada. And there I am in my Public Image Limited t-shirt. And I've drawn myself skinny like I was when I was 18. That's how I envision myself. One day, I'm telling you. Started walking pretty much every day now, especially in the last week or two. And a little more sporadically since the beginning of April. But I am working on it. So, you know, actually I have a random factoid. I actually lost 20 pounds last year. And yeah, over Christmas, it's kind of like I'm now kind of like around 18, kept 18 of them off, I guess. But, you know, improvements are being made. So someday I will be that skinny again. Maybe. Hopefully. We imagine so. But anyways, what this has to do with Noah is I've decided that I'm no longer going to be doing... I mean, if I have an idea, like something like this, then yeah, I'll do it. I'll doodle it up. I'll put it on the Noah's Archipelago Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. But what's really going to happen is, first of all, I want to finish the calendar because I figure I think I've got 7 illustrations left to do for that. And I do roughly 2 a week. So we're going to be done in a month. And then on Tuesdays, what do I do on my Tuesday streams? It's like, well, let's make Tuesdays and Thursdays are both going to be streams for Noah's Archipelago. And the Tuesday stream, that's when we're going to work on the graphic novel. I've had an idea actually for quite some time, which was to do a graphic novel of Noah explains to Ursula how Noah and Ursula's mom Ruth met. So, and I have it in point form somewhere, and I have it in my head in detail. So I'm gonna have to sit down in the next month and type it all up. And then I can print it out and do what I call, and I might do like a tutorial video on this as I go. I actually have another channel that I'm planning to do tutorials on. But a lot of the last couple weeks, this whole like registering the business and getting like that stuff kind of sucked a lot of my brain power. So we're a little behind on that. But anyways, I'll probably do a tutorial on that channel where I show how I go through a script. Because I actually write them as short stories, and then I just use multiple colored pens to like highlight, okay, here's where the panel breaks are going to happen, etc. That's what I did on Ricky B Goes to Sea. So we will do something like that for Noah, and then we will start working on that. And I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, whenever we finish the calendar. on Tuesdays. And then on the Thursdays, we're going to, because I want to do multiple Noah coloring books, so we're going to do the Noah coloring books on the Thursday shows. And then in terms of the Noah's Archipelago social media, that's, I'm going to post whatever I get done in that stream. The next day I'll take photos, and then that becomes my post for the week. So we would be actually back to four per week, instead of it being 4 comics, like, because it used to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, but usually I couldn't actually stick to that schedule. Now it's going to be, Wednesday and Thursday will be posts from the Tuesday night stream, which would be pages of the graphic novel. And then Friday and Saturday are going to be posts from the Thursday night stream with the coloring books, right? Whatever I got done there. And then, maybe some random cartoons here and there. I think for a while I was doing, like, if I had a cartoon like this that I did during the week, then on Sundays I would do, like, just take pictures and post all the random Noah comics, cartoons on there. So anyways, but point is, we're shifting Noah's Archipelago over. So that's kind of, there's the news section of the stream, but we do have one more thing for Doodle Zone, or one more book. I'm getting so close to being done this book so I could do a sketchbook tour, but anyways, we do have a couple cartoons from in here. That was stuff we showed. So, and this is orange, so I don't know, it probably doesn't show very well, but so we have Noah. He's doing his shopping. He's got his keys in his hand, kind of bug-eyed. He's seen, this kind of goes with some other cartoons I've done in my sketchbook, where Noah's always like, what the hell? Because he keeps seeing rats everywhere. So he's thinking to himself, more rats. So that's why there's a new cheese shop in town. Here's the cheese shop, Cheesorama. Meanwhile, Ricky and his girlfriend Baby, totally oblivious to Noah. They've just been at the Cheesorama by the looks of it. And Baby is clearly blathering on, and Ricky's just doing the so what happened after that, baby? And she says, so then my sister said, So anyways, they're going about their day, and Noah's observing them. This is the thumbnail sketch and the plan about that portfolio. And I do have to draw little flyers that will have my current streaming schedule, in case anyone wants those. And then I did a cartoon of Noah hitting on Ruth. So, Ruth, do my reading glasses give, sexy prof? He's trying to get laid. And then, well, we have Zamo, because I didn't draw, I never gave up on Zamo per se. I mean, I was doing the podcasts until, well, I guess it's been 5 years since the last Zamo podcast, but I was like, I got to do something with this character. I got to do something bigger, blah, 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 blah. I got to do those books. But I haven't been drawing Zamo until I started streaming again, and there's Zamo going, came crawling back, huh? So those are the doodles for this week. Now, this is the point where my notes say, let me just go back, and while I'm having a look at my notes, I'm just going to throw that up. Here's our handy dandy. If you enjoy what I'm putting out, do subscribe. We have one of these recap videos usually Saturday. Sometimes it doesn't get posted to Sunday, but usually Saturday. And I'm just, from now on, I'm just putting them on this channel. I had to experiment with putting them on a backup channel because, some YouTube guru said, it keeps different kinds of videos on different channels, blah, blah, blah. It didn't seem to make any difference for my analytics, so why not just have it all on here? I will put my tips and tutorials on a different channel, though, because that probably is a different, but these kind of videos, it's like, well, let me get that out of the way. It's like I'm technical difficulties with the mic flipping over. But these kind of videos, like my live streams, I'm showing you my workflow because I'm working on stream. And then these videos, I'm showing you my work. Same thing, right? just in a slightly different format, and kind of, if you don't have time to spend 2 hours watching me draw something, you can just tune in on these videos and see it finished. As well as some stuff that I do off camera as well. So anyways, why am I looking at now? I'm confused. Oh yeah, the other thing, I have wanted to do like a Sunday live stream, and I've done at least one a couple weeks ago. But then the last couple Sundays, it's always like I schedule it and then something comes up and I can't make it, or I'm tired, or I just don't have the time, or whatever. So I think for now, we're going to stop pretending. I think there is one scheduled. I'm just going to make it private because I can always like grab it later or whatever. I might just delete it. But right now the Sunday afternoon stream isn't working, so we're not going to bother. So that's the other, I guess, news section. Aside from my whole like, I am officially in business thing. So, and previous finishes, well, mostly I've been skipping that lately, but we did have a quick flip through the Zamo book. I think I flipped through that on a previous recap video as well, but it might have been one during the period when I was posting them on my other channel. So there you go. Haul. I did have a little bit of haul this week. It is, well, first of all, it's not the flyers. The flyers I made a while back, so these have been sitting, but these are, here you go, Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat flyers, and I have a few different designs, and anyways. So for my demo, I was like, well, I've got these, and I have business cards for Noah. It's like, okay, I had seen this sort of stuff before, and I have some bigger ones that would be for like if I was doing a market, like or a Christmas fair type of thing. They're big enough that they will actually hold copies of the book upright. But that's kind of too big for this stuff. So anyways, I got 2 of these. And now my little quarter-page flyers go in there. And the reason why I got 2 is I have this one for the Ricky, and what I have to do tomorrow, or, well, I'm filming this on Friday morning, so tomorrow being Saturday, or, yeah, or I might do them on Sunday, but before Monday is make a quick little cartoon that I can then scan, shrink, and it's going to have my current live stream schedule. So I'll have one on either corner, and then I'm working in the middle and all this stuff. And then I also, because I have business cards, and these are also not new, but it says URL. Now I realized afterwards, like, oh yeah, I'm not doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday anymore, but whatever. And then the back of them, I had actually done like an 8.5 by 11 sort of collage of different kind of the blue, what I call the blue line, well, ink only when I was working digitally, you know. So it's a huge huge collage of different characters and whatnot. So, and then I just did like 10 of the card fronts in two columns 5 high. So print them out at home on colored cardstock and just sit there while watching YouTube and with the little guillotine cutter, right? And then I've got my business cards. At some point I'll probably like have properly made ones, but there's another one, Noah wearing a crown, and stuff like that, and getting barfed on by the baby. So anyways, I have that, and then I have some that I had made ages ago. I think I made these in 2023, actually. But I'd been doing some jelly plate printing with acrylic paint onto watercolor paper, and I had various colors, and then I took my pens and I did like that one has that's Ruth's mother Agnes and her father Frank, so Noah's in-laws, and got all sorts of different characters. There's I don't know how clear that goes. The woman is That's Stacy. That's Adam's eldest son's girlfriend, and then that's Adam on this side. Ursula, etc. But I had bigger sheets that I just like cartooned randomly, and then I cut them to size. And on the back, I just wrote info, my email, my business email. It says cartoons, monotypes, print, mixed media. Eventually, I actually got like a stamp that had all that info. Of course, now I kind of go, should just say cartoons. I guess you could say I do mixed media stuff, sort of, but not really what most people think about when they think about mixed media. And monotypes, when I do printmaking, I do like making monotypes, but I have not had time to do monotype printmaking in a long time. And I don't know when that's going to change. But the point is, it also has like my website, which I need to overhaul, and my my Instagram. But why am I holding this up? Because those cards are old, but I got the little card holder, so I can have this set up as well. And at this point, I just have the Noah and my leftover handmade ones, but at some point there would be like mine, cards for Noah, cards for Ricky, and probably cards for like my tips channel or something like that, or Zamo cards, something like that. So I got some display stuff. I got not one but two of these 9.5 by 11, because I'll have one that I load up for samples if I'm teaching or whatnot. And then obviously I'm starting a Noah graphic novel. So at some point, like what I store a lot of stuff in, honestly, if you're in Canada, Dollarama has these and they're like $3.50. And what I like is they're kind of clear. So for example, oh, there you go, $3.50. There's the thing. But this is for the Myles Maarav stuff. And they've got multiple pockets. Myles Maarav's Pursuit of Happiness. So I can tell at a glance where they are. Also, these have no smell. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but I had gotten and it was like a big brand name, like Mead or something, MEAD. Maybe it wasn't Mead, but it was like a well-known stationery office supplies kind of brand. Was a plastic expanding folder. Some of them end up being too small because these are 9 by 12s that I'm working on. Some of them are just a little too tight. You can't actually put the work in or it would get crimped. So that's bad. These are big enough, obviously. In fact, they got they actually have a little bit of extra wiggle room in them. But also, anyways, this other expanding folder, pocket folder or whatever, I'd gotten it from Walmart, and then it was like sitting on my desk. I was like, what is that smell? It's like a weird, it was like half chemical, half garbage smell. So I had to get rid of it. And it was like, it's not like a massive investment, but it was like $10 or something. Whereas these are $3.50. They're clear, so I can see through them. The other one isn't. And no smell. So yeah, anyways, if you have a Dollarama nearby, highly recommended if you're working in like 9 by 12 or smaller. So I have like a bunch of these now. Like this is an extra one that I grabbed for storing work. But when it comes to like graphic, something like the Myles stuff where it's just a whole bunch of drawings at this point, that's cool. When it comes to storing something like a graphic novel where I might want to flip through and like reference things, then I like the Atoyos. So for example, I have three of these books for Ricky B Goes to Sea, and then I can flip through them like they were the actual book, right? And then so it's easy to flip back and go, okay, what was Ricky's boss wearing when we last saw him? And flip back and make sure that that we have continuity, like the shirt matches or whatever. Anyways, Knowing that I am about to undertake a new graphic novel, that being the Noah one, I grabbed. I mean, I assume it's probably going to be 3, 4, 5 at the time by the time we're done. Because I actually don't fill them all the way, because then they start where they won't close. I just fill them so that they're like flat. Well, like you can see like that, right? If I put one out, so I think the last few pages I don't fill, because then they start to get where it's like that. It won't go shut more than that. So, anyways, I think I have 37 pages in this one, right? So 37, not bad. So yeah, the Noah book's probably going to end up being 4 of those Atoyos, but it's going to take me a while to get to that point. So I just grabbed 2 for now, and one of them I'll use this coming week when I'm doing my demo. So I'll have my like samples, like like a portfolio, like it's what they're actually designed for. And then I can start filling them up. Well, let me show you from the second book for Ricky B Goes to Sea. Let's see, it's going to, in a month or so, we'll be inking this one. I think it's going to be 4 more shows before we're onto this spread. But you can see, like, it's drawn, it's lettered with the marker. So that also allows me to flip forward and reference things. We do have some pages that are completely blank, and that's only because I added the B plot with the ads afterwards. So I haven't drawn all the ads. I have them thumbnailed in my sketchbooks. But anyways, we'll be starting the process as well for Noah's Archipelago. I probably should actually like pull these spine labels out. The backside is blank, so then I could write on them, Ricky B Goes to Sea, book 1, 2, 3, whatever. I never do that, because that would be efficient. Why would I be efficient? It's better to just like have to randomly flip through them and figure out what book's what, right? Anyways, so Hull, I got 2 of those. And by the way, I'm just going to put this out there. If you're in Canada and you have a Staples close by, I got one of those at Michael's. I got one of them at Staples in Victoria. It depends, of course, on your local. We have a Staples here in my town, but the art supply section is very Mickey Mouse, very tiny. One of the ones, I think there's 2 or 3 Staples in Victoria. The one I went to yesterday, it kind of has a whole aisle for art supplies and like way more stuff. But the reason why I mention it is if your choices are Staples or Michael's, Staples, if they have it, and they have much more limited supplies, but if they have it, it's probably cheaper there, or at least the same price. Like, because Michael's, the basic price for those portfolios is $29.99, and then you get the 30% off coupon. You know this stupid dance at Michael's, right? Everybody knows it. I used to work there, so like I'm familiar. When I used to work there, we sometimes would get 50% off coupons. But anyways, those days are long gone. And Staples never used to have. This is the second one of those things. But Staples never used to have a lot for art supplies. They still don't, but if for certain things, they've got them, right? I've talked about this before, I think. I got one of these sets a couple weeks ago at Staples. I got another one yesterday because they were on sale, and it's like 4 Staedtler pigment brush pens. A couple of them are brush tips, and a couple of them are chisel tips. And these are like $5-6 each at Michael's. This 4-pack, normal price would be, I think, $13 or $15, and it was on sale for like $10. And so was this, and that's the 6-pack. Again, the regular price at Michael's. I'll hold this up so you can see the sizing. that exact pack at Michael's is like $24.99. Regular price at Staples is like 13 or 15 bucks, and then it was on sale for 10. So I was like, okay, Pura, you just get one. Part of me was like tempted to go, oh, get a bunch. Now, they do have some open stock pencil crayons and stuff, and they had the Staedtler non-photo blues. I haven't used these in a while. If I'm not mistaken, actually, why don't we test that right now? Because I think I used to use Staedtler non-photo blues, and then I couldn't find them for a while. Or pardon me, that says phthalo blue. Okay, never mind. My vision sucks. I thought it said, I saw the PH and the O, and I thought it said photo blue, like non-photo blue. When I actually look at it, it says phthalo blue, which is fine. Because obviously, if I press heavily, actually, let me do this on the document camera so you can see what I'm doing. Let's go to document camera only. Okay, so where it says Pig Racer here, that is done in a non-photo blue pencil. One of these Prismacolor 919s. Is that in focus? Yeah. Which is my standard non-photo blue. This is what I thought was non-photo blue, but when I looked just now with my reading glasses, it says phthalo blue, but it's the same freaking color pretty much. Now, obviously, if you go and press hard, that's probably going to show when you scan in black and white because it's dark enough. But if you're just sketching lightly, it's going to disappear. So anyways, good to know. But these were... Anyways, these were like a third of the price of Prismacolor pencil crayons at Michael's. So... anyways, and they had other colors too, so don't sleep on the, not sponsored or anything, obviously, but I am cheap, and I like to spread the gospel of cheap. So, especially art supplies are so stupid in price now. The other thing I'll say now, I did stop at Michael's, as well. So I did also get a couple of blue pencil crayons. One is officially a non-photo blue 919, and the other was like a really light blue slate 1024 Prismacolor, which I can use as a non-photo blue. And then I did get a couple, the Staedtlers I use the most often on the coloring pages are the pigment line. Let's go back to the document camera. I use this one. That's the 0.3 to 2.0. It's like a wedge tip. That's what I use on like this kind of line to really fatten it up. But my main drawing one is a 1.2, and that's like this line. So Michael's had like a buy one, get one 50% off, which what that really means is 25% off for everything, right? So I did get a couple because I have a couple of them that are wearing out. I was kind of thinking afterwards, I should have looked at Staples to see because I think they did have some pens along with like the pencil crayons I grabbed. If they had, and mine in my town used to have these on open stock where you could grab them and they were like $3 each, which is half of what they cost at Michael's. In my location, they don't have the Staedtler pens on open stock anymore, like where you can just grab one at a time. But the one down in Victoria probably did, and I just didn't look because I've trained myself to not bother. But anyways, if they have these open stock at your Staples, they will definitely be cheaper than Michael's, is the point of all that. So anyways, we've got some more tools. I'm just immediately putting them into a little cup I have over on this side. I think I've shown this on like a previous show and tell, but this is like when I was taking ceramics. That's Noah's mother, Hrefna. And Hrefna lives in Florida, and her backyard is full of gators, and she just beats them with a broom when they get out unruly. So that was one I made where she's the yelling bad gator. She's got her broom to smack him with, and the gator is coming up behind her because we're wrapping around, so it's going to bite her in the butt. But anyways, I have that on. That's one of my pen containers here on my desk. I also have, well, since we're doing this, I still need to at some point do like a studio tour, like of this desk area and the family room and whatnot. But long, long ago, the Vancouver Aquarium. You can tell it says Vancouver very faintly, but this is my main dip pen holders, and then a couple glass pens, and some other random stuff. And can't reach right now because this is in the way. I also got disco ball magnets because they were on clearance, and I was like, oh, why not? But anyways, this is the other flyer holder, whatever. And then I did not buy the Iris cup. I saw it at Home Goods, I don't know, 3 months ago. And it was cheap. It was like, I don't know, $7 or something. And so this is my main pencil, crayon, and pen holder on the corner of my desk. Anyways, so I think that's it for haul. What have I been... is that it? Yeah, that's it. But anyways, so what's coming up this week? Well, our usual streams. Monday to Friday. Should be Monday to Friday all days. 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Right here on this channel, I will be streaming Monday for Myles, Tuesday and Thursday for Noah, with Tuesday being the calendar project for now, and then Thursday being the coloring book project. Wednesday is Zamo night, and Friday is Ricky B. the Rock and Roll Rat. And then I've got my demo on Monday, which I'm sure I'll blather about next week. So yeah, that's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your patience. Like, subscribe, you know the whole drill. And I do have my little outro, so let's throw that on there. Well, first of all, there's our thank you for watching video with Noah and Ursula and Myles being the short little SOB. And although he's usually not that short, but you know, I didn't want him to cover up Ricky too much. Actually, what it is that's from a cartoon where it was cropped, so we only saw the top, you know, Myles from the chest up. I didn't feel like drawing in his legs and whatnot. So anyways, and then Ricky, of course, standing and waving. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you real soon. And what I am going to put for the recommended video at the end here is, I think what I did last week was just the live drawing with Pura playlist, and I'm going to do that again. So see you next week, and catch you during some of the other shows, hopefully. Bye for now.